Hi everyone and welcome to the latest edition of Running Shorts. And this is take 2 because we completely cocked up the first one, but don't worry about it. Anyway, hi, I'm Stu and this is my colleague Paddy. Hi Paddy.
Hi everyone.
For those of you who've seen Paddy before, you'll know what he does, and those that you haven't, well, let's introduce him. Running coach,
Yeah.
strength coach,
Yeah.
movement coach,
Yeah.
lots of other coachy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But basically, we're here specifically to talk about, well, strangely enough, functional strength.
Yeah.
And that's really, I think, your highlight, isn't it?
That's my favourite part of the job I do, yes.
Yeah. And it kind of shows.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of work together and we discovered, well, we complement each other in what we're doing and how we're going about things. But when it comes to strength, we kind of really got this, I suppose there's 3 categories why people come.
Yeah.
So we've got people that will come to see us because they want functional strength as part of a healthy diet of lifestyle activity.
Yeah.
So that could involve running, cycling, climbing around here a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or sometimes it's that run 3 times a week and then to do some strength.
It is.
And what they can do at home. But then we've got people coming back into sport, perhaps had a long layoff or injury. Actually, I'm currently working with a cancer patient, which is quite exciting, and helping him get back to a normal life. And then there's obviously the more dedicated runner, athlete, triathlete, where we're not just looking at functional strength. You specifically then starting to look at really how we can get them stronger, more endurance, perhaps more power to create more speed. And within that, I would also put a lot of grassroots into academy footballers.
Yeah, so team sport kind of people, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've been working with American footballers as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So if somebody comes along and they're kind of not sure what they want, what do we do?
Well, initial assessment really. There's the first point of call for everybody. And
what does that involve?
Basically looking at all their basic movements, the basic activations, how their body works from a biomechanical point of view, and where that strength lies and what's required, what they need.
Activation's an interesting one. I don't think people always understand that, do they?
No, it's I always think it's the missing link for a lot of people. A lot of people will go straight in and just start doing strength and not realizing that their muscles require a little bit of a kick to kickstart them.
Yeah, we see that quite a lot, don't we?
Yeah.
And we also I see activation as even with more established people that perhaps go into a weight room, weight gym, the activation is like the runner's warm-up of a nice aerobic run before they do intervals, and they just go straight into the weights and haven't considered if everything's awake.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
And in some cases where people have had a bit of a layoff, we've actually got to get those muscles working again.
Yeah,
because they've literally gone to sleep.
Basically,
they're compensating.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Waking the muscular system up so that it can actually build the strength really quite in a structured way.
Yeah. Should we overload people with strength in the first instance, or what would your approach be? Hey Paddy, I've not done strength for years. I'm doing a bit of running, but I know I need to do something.
I always focus on what people need from a mobilization point of view.
Okay, so range of movement through joints.
Yeah. And then the activation is the first point of call. How's their functionality of specific areas, core, glutes, and
ability to stand on one leg,
ability to balance, and ability to brace themselves, ready to create athletic movement and athletic action. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds quite hard. No? Yes?
No, not really. Not really.
Quite straightforward to see.
Straightforward to sort of pick the bones off it. So it's usually very simple to see because they're usually not doing it in the first instance,
And quite often
and
not
quite
aware of
often
it.
not aware of anything.
Yeah.
And it's usually the awareness of anybody to be able to understand. Oh, actually, yeah, I don't do any of that stuff. So how do I do it, and what things should I be doing? It's basically that's the way I always look at it.
Yeah, it sounds a bit like when, for me, obviously, I use a lot of this with developing run technique. And it's again just increasing people's awareness of how they're moving and then taking that into something meaningful that they understand.
Yeah.
And I know that your approach is a little bit like mine, trying to get people to the point they're aware of what they're doing and some of the things they can do to correct it, so they bring it back where it should be for them.
And I always follow a kind of like process through it, which is really simple. You focus on one thing. So if somebody's core isn't activating, we'll just start there. Don't go any further until that core is fully activated.
Yeah,
and they're aware of it activating and engaging, and then you move on to the next part. Where it might be glutes. Right, can we get the glutes activated and firing? Yeah, core, glutes activated and firing. Then you can move on to the next part. And you can be doing other things around it as you're doing it, but the main focus would be that one body part or that one area.
and the truth is with that as well, when you move into effectively, which we do a lot when we get referrals from physios or the medical team here, with rehab and also people just coming back into sport after a layoff, it's a set process.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah.
And it might be though that you're working on something very specific to that injury to make sure it doesn't reoccur, of course.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And like I said before, it's range of movement is the first key to unlocking the next step, the activation, then the strength. If they've not got the range of movement, they can't develop their strength.
Yeah. And of course, it's keeping it functional. It's like I had my guy today just thinking about actually stepping up onto a low-level box. Yeah. So that when he did it, actually, with one of the other exercises to activate core, he did that to activate his core, and he activated before he moved. Yeah. And he couldn't believe the difference it made.
Yeah, that's it.
And we can use all sorts of things to help with that, from holding a weight to a little bit of resistance with the TheraBand. Whole host.
Yeah, all sorts of things. Yeah, and one of my youngsters I work with, he's a basketball player, and it's like he gets to get some basketballs involved because it's his sport.
What, big heavy ones?
No, little ones. But he understands it more from his sport point of view.
I've got to ask, like, every time the young footballers come in, they want to kick those. Does he want to bounce it?
Yeah, he does. So yeah, it's just using an implement sometimes just to say, can you see how that activates when you're under a little bit of resistance? Can you do it without the resistance? Can you do it?
Teaches awareness again.
Teaches it's all awareness, all about awareness, especially with the youngsters.
Yeah. I mean, it's also been interesting that a lot of the some of the academy players we've been seeing, older ones, they've not been taught to activate, and they've been gone from one age group to the next, from doing a little bit of core work and body weight strength into effectively the weight room. Yeah, and there's big gaps. Yeah,
big gaps in their awareness of how they should actually go into doing the big strength stuff, and then getting into it, and then getting into the process.
It's kind of super important.
Yeah.
It's getting them to do it sometimes because they think they should be pushing the big weights, but it's got to activate to warm it up first and then go in and push the big weights.
Exactly, and it all has its place. And it's if used in the correct way, in my opinion, it all links up together, and then you can kind of create a plan that is properly periodized.
Yeah, periodized. That's quite important. Because if I look at what we've been doing with the team, I'm kind of working through initially getting them started with that activation because it ties in with the specificity of what we're doing from a drill into running technique point of view. I get to a point where I go, now they're yours, Paddy. But it's interesting. We look at Harvey's best results. We were working together. We look at what we've been doing with Chris, and that's starting to pull together.
Yeah.
I took it through the ideas where Stu give him this.
Yeah.
and now you're taking over with Chris. We've been doing the same with Hugh, and I had some feedback from Hugh yesterday on a session he did at AE. He's absolutely flying. AE, an aerobic interval session. For those that don't know. And he said it was absolutely flying and how easy it felt. And it's just been interesting how that's all comes together. You like the periodization stuff?
I like it. I like when it's all linked together and it's like the periodized part of training, because it means I can do my best work as a strength coach. If it's all like we link together with the team and some other athletes, and it always shows. Always shows the result.
I can't argue with the results we're getting between us. And Eddie's another one where it just started to change, and you can see he's about I reckon he's about to pop. Which will be amazing.
That'll be good.
But it's interesting, isn't it? So you sort of like have a high volume of strength, a low volume of running. Paddy, Stu. We kind of do that. But we have to keep talking even when this is happening, because we can pick things up. And we can make little changes as we go through. And that's your periodization, and it's working out how many weeks of this, how many weeks of that, how many weeks to transition, and how many weeks to bring it through into the running.
How does it all connect then together? Where does the link become? And when does it show? Which is always a very difficult grey area for us to see when it's going to show, but it's never far off what we estimate. So
and I like to see it when it comes to interdrills and movement. It's so exciting. And I like it when the athletes can see it, they get a big beam on the face. I can feel it.
They don't always see it immediately. They're always sometimes it's like, I'm not really noticing this, and then suddenly it just clicks and it's like bang. So it's fun when they start going, oh yeah, that's so it's all just come.
It's just a process, but it's a process.
I'll just feel it all of a sudden. So
it's a process. So basically, the other alternative that some people are taking is they're not quite sure which bit of all this they want and where they want to start. So they actually come in for a movement and gait assessment. And we check strength, we check movement, we have a look at mobility, we get them on the treadmill, they're filmed, and that gives us a great opportunity to signpost them. And that lasts supposedly an hour. You can keep that to an hour. That'll be a first.
It's always a bit of a struggle.
It is. It's usually
you get excited about.
You get talking about stuff.
See that this is going to. We try to keep it like very structured, but it sometimes you go, oh, actually, there's this. And you might require that. And it's always very difficult to kind of.
And that for me, for £30, is the bargain of a lifetime.
Oh, absolutely.
I really do think it's perfect. If you're interested in that, just go onto the Accelerate website and you'll find some details on the movement and gait analysis. Like I say, it's £30. You book an hour slot online, and then just come along with your running shoes and some running kit, and then we'll take you through, and then we will show you the areas that you can start to consider and make a decision on what you want to work on and potentially who with. Okay, so I think that's a pretty good introduction to kind of what we do. Kind of what we do sounds a bit loose. It's not.
No,
it's a process.
It's a process, and it's how we link together that's the most important part of all of this, really. It's how we connect the dots. Sometimes it's a case of me asking you for certain advice on some of the movements. Sometimes it's the opposite way around. What's this strength, and why is that movement going like that? And it's like, it's that.
Oh yeah. Why couldn't I see the wood for trees?
So it is just a case of the way we link it together.
And if we need it on the movement analysis side, if we need a medical input or there's things happening with feet, we've got Abby, of course, who'll step in and do this. And she's really enjoys the opportunity to have a look at folk and
she does
point them through.
She certainly does.
Cool. Right, I believe we're just going to have a change of scenery, and we're going to be right back as we're going to be talking about OcTOPOfest and Topo athletic running shoes. We'll be right back in a minute, folks. There you go, change of scenery. Welcome back, part 2. And as I said, we'll be talking about Topo athletic running shoes. We're big fans of Topo here in Accelerate Towers. We've been dealing with them really from the very, very beginning. for me, it's all about the fact that the shoes are actually designed at people that are interested in runners, not just in the evolution of running shoes. And they're also interested in what's happening with the human foot. Kind of quite important, you would think, in shoe design, but it's amazing how often it gets forgotten, seemingly sometimes with better known brands. So for one of the key features that Topo offer is straight away is that across all their shoes is that wider, what we call foot shape. So the toes have plenty of splay, and that literally is across everything they do. They believe in a lower drop shoes, so they work generally from 5, 3, and 0 in most of their shoes. And then obviously they're looking for the shoes to be as light as possible. Off-road and road variants. There's two things we're going to talk about here, but I'm going to start with OcTOPOfest. So later in the month, the 6th through to the 12th of October, we're going to have a whole week of activity involving Topo. We're going to start on the Sunday of the 6th with a pop-up run from Ecclesall Woods, where we can try their trail shoe range, working through to same again on the Tuesdays and double up on the Thursday with both Woodrun and Accelerate Trail runners. Then to running past 50 here on the Friday, 12th of October, the Saturday, we're going to put a run technique session on.
Yes, we are.
Details on that to be confirmed. And then on the Friday and the Saturday, the movement analysis we were talking about before, we've teamed up with these guys and we're going to offer it for free. So if you're interested, I think the slots will be available in the next couple of days. So get yourself booked in, folks. So actually it's going to be a great opportunity to try the Topo range. We have found it's a brand that people are coming back and asking for. There's a lot of interest in the product and the shoes generally, and people are actually coming and asking for them. They've seen the sign out the front, actually sees Topo coming. Oh, I see you've got Topo. Can I have a look? And going very, very well. You've been playing with the newbie, haven't you? The new Specter.
Yeah, I have indeed.
Which is an interesting shoe. So it kind of almost, when you pick it up, has the weight of a racer.
It's very lightweight.
And even with the stuffing still in it, it's not a heavy boy.
Not at all.
But it's not a racer.
No.
It's actually designed as an everyday trainer, whether you're speedy or whether you want something basically that works like this. So what have we got in the shoe? We have hard-wearing rubber outsole. Midsole is P-Max, okay, which is one of the latest super foams. Normally you find a carbon plate squished between this to provide the foam a little bit more stability. Mm-hmm. In this case, though, they've redesigned the manufacturing process of how they're making this midsole, so they're actually better able to control its density, its firmness, and therefore its responsiveness. Mm-hmm. From a cushioning point of view, we're talking up to 700 miles, which is a little bit more than your average. And we're also with P-Max talking about something that doesn't just cushion, but the energy return is extremely high. Be interesting to see what you say about that in a second. Yeah. And then from the point of view of the upper, this is the special edition. There's not many of these available. So when these are gone, they're gone, I believe. And then we're over to a standard blue color. Highly breathable, again, very lightweight. Now, Andy Shelton has already produced and sent us over his review. We'll put the link for that below you so you can read his words. How have you found them?
I've been very impressed. In the 2 or 3 runs I've been out in them, I've done a shorter one, my longer aerobic run, and then higher intensity anaerobic run just yesterday, actually. And yeah, like I say, very impressed. The responsiveness of that shoe is far beyond what I've had before. I've been very that impressed.
And you've had a few
And
carbon
I've had
shoes
a
as
few
well.
carbon shoes, yeah.
Stable?
It's very stable. I don't feel like you lose any energy through the shoe. The responsiveness on the ground is second to none, in my opinion. And in a really fast run yesterday, my speeds were pretty good for where I'm at in my training so far.
And what about on those slower runs?
Again, really felt like my movement was not restricted by the shoe.
Okay.
And sometimes with a slower run, I feel like some shoes, you just lose some of that movement.
Because it's got a bit of a rocker, and sometimes when you're running slower, that can kind of almost feel like it's tipping you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Did you feel that?
Don't feel that at all.
Okay.
I actually feel more upright. I think you said it as well when I first put it on it. You look a bit more upright. And I do feel that throughout. I felt it throughout all 3 runs I've done. Like I say, a shorter run and a couple of longer runs. But yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it, that we've got shoes that we almost think should be a racing shoe when you look at it and what's in there.
Yeah.
And that the technology is now just evolving to the fact, yeah, it's an everyday shoe and it's just super lightweight.
Yeah. And it not having that carbon plate sort of within it, I would say it feels much, I wouldn't say better, but it feels just as good as having that carbon plate, in my opinion, for an everyday shoe.
Well, I was talking to a brand not so long ago, and they were suggesting that carbon plates may be out of shoes within the next 5 years, because actually it's all about the foam.
Yeah.
And I think that the polystyrene cup appearance, as I call it, feedback, seems to be one of those things that's moving on.
Yeah.
I've tried quite a few P-back shoes,
Right.
and I've always handed them on, never liked them.
Right.
I haven't handed this pair off.
Right.
So that might
be.
ignore my size, so sorry.
Yeah. No, it's
And I haven't run as much as you, because I've been more off-road just lately, but I'm actually, tomorrow was a 10K in them looming.
okay. Excellent. Like I say, it has. I was impressed. I had you gave me a pair of the Topos, 6 months ago, I think it was, which were a bit more for speediness.
Yeah.
And I was impressed with that pair of shoes as well. Again, I feel like I could only wear that in for the shorter intervals and things, but certainly with this, I've been impressed, very impressed. Yeah.
Interesting. You haven't tried any of the off-road shoes
Not
yet,
yet,
so
no.
it'll be interesting to see if we can get you along
Yeah.
one of the ATR runs.
Yeah. See if we can get along.
And give those a go. They also produce, obviously, with shoes with more traditional foams for road. So we've got the Phantom and the Atlas. The Atlas is their basically profiled midsole shoe to provide a very, very stable platform. And again, for longevity for the runner. And then you move down to the Phantom, which is still traditional foam. But running those a fair bit, they're quite nippy.
Yeah.
For want of a better description. I never finished, and I guess you didn't, thinking I've got legs.
Yeah. No. I actually finished yesterday's run thinking, could I race in that?
That was going to be my next question.
That's what I was doing. I sort of finished yesterday's run, and obviously it was a tough run and a fast run. And I just thought I could probably race in that in Manchester.
That's going to be interesting what you choose then now.
Yeah, it kind of put me in a bit of a predicament. So I'll decide over the next couple of weeks, I'm sure. But certainly after yesterday, I was like, wow, I think I could race in that. So it'll be interesting. That's what I say. It felt like a carbon plate shoe without carbon plate.
And without that holding stiffness.
Yeah,
and
that's it. Yeah.
You can always tell when a carbon plate.
Yeah.
Coming up the road as it crashes along.
So yeah, I'll that decision will be made in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, I'll certainly be considering it as the race shoe.
This, folks, is going to be interesting, and I wonder what Andy would say if we said, could you give a race in a pair of these? Because he's got more carbon shoes than a carbon shoe running shoe.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. I think he's actually started selling them back to the brands because they're running out.
Yeah.
But yeah, if he had a jumble sale of shoes, it'd be something else.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm intrigued what you do in Manchester.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I shan't see you in these as you're off for the weekend, which is a shame, but we'll find out in the next couple of weeks as you continue through. I know that other members of the team have popped in and gone, oh, yes, and they're basically taken the shoe already.
Yeah.
We have already got more on order because they've actually proved to be quite popular quite quickly. So you heard it here first, folks. That's the Topo Athletics Specter 2, brand new version of the shoe. Can't say iteration, blah, blah, blah. Version of their shoe. It is designed as an everyday, responsive, and protective training shoe, but light enough most definitely to be raced in. And hey, we've got a view here. It might take a preference to a carbon shoe. Interesting.
Yeah.
Right, folks. We'd love to see you along to OcTOPOfest, chance to try them. We will have the Specter on the Saturday.
Yeah.
It will be here. I am reliably informed. So we can all go and have, a fast run.
Yeah.
And see what we think. And we'd love to see you along to any of the events, OcTOPOfest. They're free to attend. Come along, try a pair of shoes. We'll put a link at the bottom of today's podcast so you can link through. And we'll put another link through for the review and where you can find the shoe. And that's it for now, folks. And we look forward to seeing you next month for a try-on run. Cheers for now.
See you there.